You're here, I'm queer, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you to Merge Gardens for sponsoring this video. Today, I am giving you something edgy, something spiky, and something spicy. Our one-of-a-kind collectible has finally made it to the Drag Race shelves. I was so excited to see the twin pack Sugar and Spice grace the stage of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I knew that they would definitely be serving those fashion packs. My favorite look from them would definitely be their promo looks. They look such polar opposites from one another, and I am living for it. For this video, we will make Spice, and I gotta say that it was a really long process. I had 7 hours of raw footage to edit down, but it was all worth it in the end. I literally felt all the spices of emotions, from anger, sadness, excitement, and whatnot. Speaking of spices, I would love to have my own herb and spice garden one day. I mean, imagine thyme, rosemary. But unfortunately, I don't have much of a green thumb. Literally everything I touch dies, as you can see. But you know where I do have a green thumb? In Merge Gardens. Merge Gardens provide a fun, relaxing, casual gameplay experience with a perfect mix of merge and match 3 puzzle games and a unique storyline. It's the perfect game for any skill level. The goal is to build your own garden with items like trees, plants, and butterflies and ponds, while also solving a mystery. This game features adorable wildlife creatures and stunning garden decorations to unlock. Or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, there are also in-game time events that offer special limited rewards. I personally love games where you collect items, so Merge Gardens totally has me covered since there are hundreds of items in-game. My personal goal right now is to collect and place all of the masterpieces in my garden. Part of the mystery in Merge Gardens is that there are people trapped as topiaries, so I love the mystique and the storyline surrounding them, and I need to put my detective hat on to figure out why. It's literally, I'm like so invested. I find myself playing Merge Gardens when I'm in need of breaks between crafting and waiting for materials to dry. You guys know, paint just takes forever to dry. Best of all, it's completely free to play. Download Merge Gardens through the link in my description below or by scanning the QR code on the screen to try it for yourself. And you'll also be directly supporting my channel. And again, thank you to Merge Garden for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into our spicy queen. For Miss Spice, I will be making another hybrid. I mean, not real. I mean, I don't know. But we are, we're taking some dolls apart to make another doll. So yeah, it's a hybrid. I am taking this Model Muse Barbie and I am removing the head. So we're just going to be using the body. Because you guys know I love my Model Muses. I love the poses and I just love the body. And for her head, I will be using this My Scene doll. As you can see, the body is very stiff, and that's the reason why I usually go for a Model Muse, because they have more of a model-esque pose. They have more of the pose that I would usually go for. I just prefer it, and the body type is pretty similar, but in terms of poses, like I said, I just prefer it. But for the head, I will be using this doll. I'm not entirely sure who this is. Maybe it's Noelle. I'm not sure, but yeah, I know that Sugar and Spice pretty much represents Bratz dolls. I am fully aware of that. However, I do want this to be kind of like a mixture of cartoon and realism. So for that, I think the My Scene aesthetic is like the way to go, because obviously Barbie copied Bratz at that time. This is like their version of Bratz. So I was like, okay, well then this is the perfect Sugar and Spice. But yes, this is gonna be our hybrid. I will be making a wig for her, so of course, let's go ahead and remove the hair. I love this hair color, actually. It's like that really, really deep red. But unfortunately, it has to go. And of course, I am taking my acetone. You may also use nail polish remover if it has acetone in it to remove the factory paint. And as you can see, the lipstick for this doll actually stained the doll. But it's fine, we can cover it easily, but I just thought it was kind of interesting how it kind of stained, like the factory paint just stained the doll's face. First, I want to work on her wig, and for this one, of course, I already made a wig cap, and I will be using yarn and also a wig, like wefts, hair wefts, like actual hair wefts. It is not human, but it is it's pretty good with heat resistance. So for the base of her wig, I will be using the yarn first. So let's go ahead and start gluing that, and of course, I usually start on the bottom of the neck. And of course, because the style is a pigtails, you want to be strategic on where you are gluing the yarn wefts, you know, because you don't want to glue it everywhere. And yeah, you just have to be strategic with how you're gluing it. And unfortunately, I'm not really the best at explaining, so you just have to watch, but you just kind of like, yeah. You have to glue it where you're making the parting and everything like that. Like, all of that needs to be accounted for. Fun fact for those who hate that I use yarn wefts, this kind of gave me an epiphany. I was like, I feel like this style would have been really good if I had just rebooted the hair. I know, yes, at this point I was like, I should have just rebooted. But you guys know I don't really have like doll hair on the ready like that. Yarn I have a lot, I have plenty. And also wigs. So I was using literally a wig for her pigtails. At this point, I am making the kind of her hair bun in the middle of her hair. So that's where I'm using the wig weft for this one, just because I thought it was gonna be good and it would kind of blend everything together. And here is the weft of hair that I literally got from a wig that I have, which is what I got from like a beauty supply store here in Vegas. So it works really, really well. I love how long it is. I love how shiny it is. There is a color difference, I'm not gonna lie. The yarn shines a little bit more green, in person at least. And of course the hair fiber hair, is a little bit more blue, but oddly enough in pictures it actually kind of blends really well, of course. But you know, that's pretty much it for her wig, and we'll go back with it later on. For the hair accessory, I am using Warbler, and because I know it was going to be a really thick ponytail, like the pigtails, I was like, let me just go ahead and use Warbler. I am just painting it black to, you know, match the color. And then we will be gluing spikes to it. If you guys watch my vlog, my last vlog, you guys know how much of a difficulty I had with getting these spikes. I literally got some from Etsy, I got some from Amazon, I got some from another website. It was a whole mess trying to get spikes in this scale. So when you're working with something like this, you're not really sure on how much you are using, so it's better to definitely get more of the materials. So yeah. And I'm also using the chain, of course. She has chains in her hair, so I'm just using this necklace chain. Her chain actually has black infused in it, like every other chain link, I believe, is black. But I thought the silver gave more contrast, so I left it alone. For the hair spikes, I am razor cutting it so that it is piecey, it is layered, and the only one I'm cutting is actually the yarn. I am not touching the hair weft at all. It was easier to get the effect with just yarn, and there's no product in this hair. Like, there's literally no gel, nothing. And I love how it's just standing up like that, and see, that's why I like yarn, because you can pose it, you know? But that's pretty much it for the hair for now, and now let's go ahead and work on her body modifications. Sugar and Spice usually pose with their legs kind of crossed, and like crossed on, you know, on top of each other. So I am gonna try and do that with this model muse. I know I was also kind of heartbroken when I broke the leg, but we're gonna be putting it back together. And for this one, I guess I am just kind of exaggerating the cross leg look. And yeah, we're gluing it back together and we are putting clay onto it. To glue it, I am using this quick weld 6-minute epoxy glue. And this one is really nice. It is very toxic, so make sure you are in a ventilated area. In my case, I just had the fan going and I'm just hoping for the best. So yeah, you just want to mix 2 equal parts together and then that should be good and you are able to use it as regular glue. Yeah, different formulas comes in different drying times also, so I have like a plethora of different dry times. For this one I was like, I think I can hold the leg for 6 minutes. I don't think it'll be a problem. And after it has cured, I am ready to put the epoxy sculpt and we are going to be giving her some fabulous hips. The thing I like about the twins is that they are padded for the gods. They corset, they are padded. They literally give you an hourglass figure and I really appreciate that. I was happy for this one because I didn't really have to smooth out the, our padding, because it's going to be covered anyway. But here is kind of like how it looks after it's dried. And as you can see, you kind of want to blend it, but it's okay if it's not completely perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take our warbler, and this is a thermoplastic piece of work. Not a plastic, it's a plastic paper, whatever. It is heat activated, but it is very durable. It is often used in cosplays and whatnot. So yeah, I'm going to be heating it up. I'm sure you guys can tell that I will not be sewing this costume. It will be a sculpted piece. Just because realistically, I don't think we can get the same exact copy of Spice's outfit if it was made out of fabric. We may be able to get something close to it, but because of the glitter, because of the patent look of it, I don't think it's gonna look the same exact one, and fit-wise, it wouldn't look right. So I often go for warbler and sculpted pieces to really get as close to the look as I want and as I can. And now that the skirt is attached, I'm gonna go ahead and work on her corset, and with this one, I just rolled out a piece of epoxy clay, as thin as possible, and this is where we build her costume, her top, her blouse, her corset, and whatnot. The bra and the corset seemed like it was 2 different pieces, so I tried to kind of recreate that with this sculpt, and that's why I kind of sculpted them separately, and I am going to emphasize that there are edges that differentiates them. So I thought that was kind of like important when I'm trying to create costume, and unfortunately I couldn't really get the back view of this costume, so for the most part I just kind of made it up. If Spice sees this video, you can confirm nor deny how the back looks, but I did not see it. But I feel like I can kind of make it up anyway, so yeah. I'm doing the same thing for her boots, and for boots usually you don't really want to cover the entire legs because it's gonna look way too bulky. And because her boots were like skin tight, you just want to make sure to add those clay pieces where it's gonna create kind of like a bulk. So really, on top of her thighs, maybe a little bit bulk behind the knees, by the ankles, yeah. But for the most part, everything else is just gonna be her skin, because the boots are skin tight. As you can see, I am jumping from, her top to her boots and whatnot. I do that because I need to wait for the clay to dry before I work on top of it. So this one, her corset is completely dried, and now I am adding the details to it, like the piping and everything like that. And this just makes it easier to work with creating details, because some of this is just way too kind of like aggressive when you are sculpting, and I feel like if I was working with the clay uncured underneath this, it would just be such a mess, and like controlling it would just be more difficult. I wouldn't say it's impossible, I just don't prefer it, and I feel like it'll just be harder for me, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of like waiting time when it comes to sculpting a costume, sculpting a doll. Like you have to wait for certain things to cure first, and then you work on top of that, and then you work on top of that. Like, you know, it's a lot of that. And that's why it's a little bit more time consuming. But you know what? I definitely prefer it than me working with a needle and thread. There are a few things that I actually go back to Worbla with. As you can see, the bra straps, I'm using Worbla just because I need it to be very, very thin. And yeah, for this one, I was like, let's just use Worbla. Here is where I am creating the bulk that I'm talking about, like a bulk of fabric. And that is going to be behind the knees, because that's usually where the fabric will fold and create those wrinkles. So you want to add that. Of course, the ankles also creates those folds. And of course, we are sculpting her shoes in the very end, so watch out for that one too. Here are the soles that I will be using for her shoes, and they are out of Worbla as well. I heat activated them so that they can kind of like slide perfectly with the arch of the Barbie's foot. And then we're gonna go ahead and sculpt on top of that. You guys know I'm usually not into rounded shoes, you know, like rounded or squared shoes. I love a pointed, like very witch-like shoe. So this one was kind of new for me. I mean, I've done it before, but you know, especially with like, oh my god, like these types of like platform boots. I mean, it's very, very cool. It's just something different than my go-to, so it's pretty refreshing. I'm using a needle to act as her heels, and then I am using the epoxy glue to build that heel and make it chunkier. I usually use clay for this part, but clay has been so stubborn for me, and I was like, I feel like this is easier to use, and it dries fairly quick, and it is sandable as well. It might be toxic, so usually when I sand things, it needs to be wet sanded. Now we are working on her sleeves, and I feel like her sleeves was kind of like a bolero style. I feel like it wrapped behind her. For her sleeves, they're pretty much just like attachment sleeves, but I'm fairly certain that behind it was like a bolero style where it wrapped behind her. But yeah, for my version, it's just attached sleeves, you know, which is fine. It's cute. I really love sculpting sleeves on. I don't know why, but I love sculpting like the wrinkles of fabric, and I don't know. It's just I love sculpting. I love sculpting fabric for some reason. For her outfit, I did sand it off camera, of course, and now we are ready to paint it. I am so excited when it comes to painting it because everything just comes together, and you can often see like mistakes, and if you do have mistakes, but it is so satisfying to see like the costume become one, you know, like, oh my god, she is wearing this. So often like painting is like one of my favorite things, especially if I'm trying to sculpt costume and I'm trying to make it look like fabric. Now, of course, we have to do the accents, the silver paint, the silver piping, which is also quite exciting. Which Which one is your favorite Spice look, either from Drag Race or their Instagram? Comment them down below. I really love this one because it has elements that I usually enjoy. It's all black with silver metal, spikes and studs, and glitter all over it. Ugh, I really love it. And now we're done with all of the silver piping and silver details. It's not perfect, we're still going to be working on this later on, but as you can see, it looks really cool, and all of the details are just standing out so well. Oh my god. Honestly though, the piping, you kind of don't even have to sculpt it if you don't want to. I just know that there will be glitter on top of this, so I don't want the silver to look so, like, flat. And speaking of glitter, let's go ahead and add that. I am taking my black glitter first, and we are coating everything that needs to be coated in glitter with Mod Podge first. And you want to work on this with section by section because it can get really messy. Oh my god, this is like making me remember my Monica Rambeau doll, my Captain Marvel doll. Ugh, I miss that doll. I mean, I have that doll, but I just look like, it looks like stars, you know? It looks like the galaxy, and I am so obsessed with like black glitter. Some of the silver piping in her corset actually has silver glitter, or actually I think it was crystals. I'm not entirely sure. I think they look like crystals, like gemmed, like stoned. I think they look like stoned. But in doll scale, we will translate that into silver glitter. And some of the piping in her corset and around her costume had the silver glitter. I actually really like the matte color of the black costume. I feel like everything like the glitter just stands out so much more. However, this is kind of like a patent PVC type of pleather look. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my gloss glaze, and we are glazing it all up. This one is very satisfying for me as well because it just makes it look like patent leather. It makes it look like real PVC, and I'm just so obsessed with like the shine. I love the shine. I almost forgot that she was wearing fingerless gloves for this look, so I'm gonna go ahead and give her that as well. And this is what we have. Oh my god, it looks wet. I feel uncomfortable touching this with my bare hands because I might give fingerprints on it, but it looks so good and so wet and so shiny. Oh my god, I love the reflection. This was technically 4 layers of the gloss because I really just want it to be so glossy, you know? But I am so obsessed. And now we can go ahead and work on her head, and of course I primed it first with Mr. Super Clear, and then in the end, to save our work and also work in between layers, we're also spraying Mr. Super Clear. So now let's go ahead and get started with her beautiful face. Spice and Sugar's makeup has come a long way, but it's always stayed faithful to the Bratz like eye makeup, which is literally what I love. I love the smizing look. I love the bedroom eyes, and I just love it so much. And I feel like I said, my scene heads was the perfect canvas for sugar and spice. Of course, you want to work your way into building the layers of her face, and oh my god, I definitely, after working on her costume, I literally missed like doing the face, because the face is like my favorite and easy for me to do, and it's so satisfying to see a before and after of the doll's face. I don't know if I've explained this before, but I have to work on a doll's head when it is attached on the doll's body. And the reason for that is because when you remove a doll, sometimes, at least for me, most of the time, you end up squishing the doll's face. And because I work with so many layers of Mr. Super Clear, she pretty much has a mask of like layers and layers of Mr. Super Clear, watercolor, blushes, paint, and everything. And if you squish the doll's head, it is more prone to cracking, which has happened to me before, specifically my Little Pony series, because I would work on the doll's head separately. So now I have to work on the doll's face when it's attached to the doll's body. Sorry, I don't know, I felt the need to ramble that and include that here for some reason, but yeah. I really love Spice's eye color in this one. I think she was wearing like almost like a white icy blue eyes, and I just love how piercing they are, especially because our makeup is pretty dark and literally her eyes are just standing out, and I wanted to create that same exact smize and fierceness with this doll. And now it's time to smoke out her eyes, and this is also one of my favorite things to do. You guys know most of my dolls have smoky eyes just because it's so good. I mean, for me, I am so obsessed with it, and I just love putting the smoky eye on every single doll. Don't be alarmed, but her lips are not going to be completely pink. I will be subduing it and making it more nude later on, but I want to build in the pinks and the reds of her lips first before I put the beige and the nudes on top of it, because she was kind of wearing like a very nude pink, and quite frankly I don't really have that pencil, so that's why I keep layering those colors in. And now it's time to put on those catch lights using acrylic paint. And now it's time for highlighter! For this one I'm using 3 highlighters, and they are resin pigment powders. Metallic pigment powders. I'm using one in white, pink, and also silver. And I just layer that all up, you know? She is a drag queen, so highlighter, I feel like I can go crazy with highlighters. Because we're working with a drag queen over here, I felt the need to be very, very extra and be myself with highlighter. Like, I want her entire face highlighted, and I want it to be glowing and glittering. I want it to look like she's sweating at some points. But yes, I am so obsessed with highlighter. And now it's time to give her her 301 lashes. I'm just kidding, but we are using individual fake human lashes, and I'm just using Elmer's Glue All to adhere it. And I have no idea how much I used, but I probably used 10 lashes each eye. I actually don't know, but it was a lot of lashes, and I will be trimming this in the very end. And of course, we can't forget to gloss up her lips. And now it's time to add those piercings, and I think she was wearing, I mean, I don't think it was real piercings, but I think they were supposed to be like actual metal balls and everything like that. But for my doll, I am using crystals and gems. I just thought it would be so perfect and a little bit more glam. Now let's go ahead and work on her necklace. And again, we're taking our warbler. So I want to show you guys some of the spikes that I got, and it's a mixture. These are 2 spices that I will be using, or, you know, not really. But for the big spikes, I got this from Etsy, and they are real heavy spikes. And as you can see, it has kind of like that ball, or it kind of has that ring to it. So you can make jewelry out of it or something. And then for the mini spikes, I am using 2mm spikes over here, and this is usually used by nail artists for nail art. So that is the size 2mm spikes. You may get this from Etsy. So for the big spikes, of course, we need to remove the ring because it needs to be completely flat. And the problem with this one is that, first of all, up to scale, it looks a little bit too thick compared to what Spice was wearing. And it's so heavy that even using industrial glue, it doesn't really hold it together. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of worried that this will not last. But I kind of went for it and I started gluing, you know, the smaller spikes. And I was like, oh, it's actually very cute. However, after a few days, and after trying it on her neck, it ended up breaking. The big spikes started to fall apart, which then it just made everything so... It's a mess. It's a mess. It's just way too heavy. So I was like, okay, well, we need to figure out a plan B. So I removed everything and I started from scratch, and I was like, maybe I can use toothpicks. Now, spoiler alert, this is so much better. However, I would recommend, if you guys are going to do this, I would recommend you guys buying those pickup sticks or plastic toothpicks. I don't know if that's a thing, but make it plastic because plastic is going to be more durable. Spice actually fell on the table and then one of the toothpicks broke, so it's very fragile. The toothpick spikes actually looks way better than the spikes that I got. So here's like a comparison of it. It's of course thinner, more spiky, and yeah. For this one though, I wanted to make it really secured, so I am drilling holes into everything for the spikes to go through. Because I'm like, I am not dealing with a whole, like, holding the freaking spikes in place, waiting for the glue to dry. I'm like, no, I am not doing that. So I ended up just drilling everything, making holes out of everything, and this looks way better, way better. So yeah, that's a little rant for you. Now that we are done with her necklace, we can finally unravel her and reveal her face with a costume and... I mean, not yet. But I'm so excited to finally give her her spikes. And again, I am drilling literally all over her sleeve because, like I said, I am not about to hold everything, like all of that in place. And honestly, this is so much better because it's like a very firm hold and it's more durable in terms of like you know, it not falling apart. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drill all over her sleeve, both both arms. And after that, we are gonna be putting those spikes inside. And for this one, of course, I still used super glue just to make sure that it is very, very secured. Now I'm also working on giving her the spikes all over her corset and all over her costume, and this one was so fun. I'm actually using Elmer's glue for this one, and surprisingly, for some reason, Elmer's glue is stronger than super glue. I don't know why, maybe because it's thicker and it's holding on to like the glitter a little bit better. I'm not sure, but yeah. It's not foolproof though. A lot of spikes came out, I gotta say, which is why having like extra spikes was very, very vital. This doll took me roughly a month and a half because we were in the process of moving and Spice was in the middle of it, so I pretty much lost a week's worth of work time. It was actually kind of joking to myself that Drag Race would be over by the time I'm done with her, and that's literally coming true because Drag Race just ended yesterday. So yeah. The shoes definitely had more of a strategic spike placement. The sole of the heel, or the sole of her platform, actually has literally spikes, like as in a row. And I was like, oh my god, this is using up a lot of spikes. So at this point, I was very, very cautious. And I was like, okay, well, I have to make sure that I have enough spikes. So I ended up like working on her shoes first, and then I worked on the back of her costume, because I was like, well, I'd rather have the entire front of her like have spikes, and then like the back could be whatever, honestly. But I ended up having enough. I am definitely looking forward to them having their own dolls. I mean, Trixie got her own doll, RuPaul has their own doll. Like, I'm sure they will have a doll in the near future, and I cannot wait to see how they would look. Now let's go ahead and wait for everything to dry, and for now let's work on her earrings. For this one I am using this hair accessories in gold. We are going to be painting it silver and coating it with a silver glitter. Spoiler alert, but sugar is of course gonna be made as well, but I am still waiting on a few things for her doll. So, yeah, but I promised that the twin set would definitely be complete. I'm definitely excited to channel lighter colors, the pinks, the blues, and all that. You know, the sugarness of it all, the sweetness of it all. We can't forget to give her some fabulous manicure, and for that I am using my hot glue technique over here to give her some amazing stiletto nails. And of course, every doll deserves to have a handbag, and for this one I am using Warbler to make her a bag. I'm sure you can find like a rainbow high bag or a Bratz bag. I'm sure like a doll. I feel like Rainbow High has kind of like these hourglass shaped bags. But I was like, I'd rather make one because honestly I don't have the time to unpack all of my stuff. I was trying to get this video out as soon as I can, and for some reason, making it seemed easier. So, yeah, that's what we're doing with our Warbler. Now we just need a little hair clip to keep her hair out of her face, and we are finally done with Spice. Hello, House of Hex. Before I show you our spicy queen, I just want to announce that my new TV show, HEXTIAN'S Dollhouse, is now live on the Roku channel. Tune into Hello Inspo channel 454 to watch me customize one-of-a-kind dolls inspired by your favorite characters. You'll even get a peek at my own makeup transformations. There are so many ways to watch for free. You can visit therokuchannel.com and search Hello Inspo, get the Roku channel app on your smart TV, or if you have a Roku stick, head over to channel 454 on the live TV guide. See you there!